This morning I woke up and guess what? It was snowing. February is officially the longest month of the year. Actually, it's the shortest month of the year, but with this winter, it feels so long. The pandemic's not helping. What I needed is a little coffee and some folk music, so stick around. Hey, welcome to Charlie's Open Mic. My name is Charlie Mosbrook. Like I said this morning, I woke up and it was snowing again, and February really does get very hard because it's a short month, but it's really that part of the winter that seems to linger on, and we're just kind of tired of the winter. For a lot of people in the country, it's a very tough winter. In Texas, Mississippi, they're dealing with snow in ways that we're used to. They're not used to it. It's really beating a lot of people up. We're going to talk to somebody about that next week. This week, we're going to visit with a friend of mine. His name is Raleigh Brown. He was a national finger-picking champion in Winfield, Kansas at one point. He was also a student at Kent State back in 1970, and his roots go back to the Kent area. And the reason I bring the Kent area up at this moment is because in February, we would enjoy something called the Kent State Folk Festival every year, where we would go pile into the Student Center and take in all these different workshops all day. It was all free. And then at night there was a concert, and you'd have to buy a ticket for that, and then there was an after party. But February was that opportunity to get together with all these musicians and to explore the music and really become a part of that. And it was such a cozy, warm feeling, and it really made February something to look forward to. So I thought, well, let's bring back a Kent State guy. So we've got Raleigh Brown. He's just an amazing player, really a wonderful human being, and I'm looking forward to talking to him a little bit more. But first, let's listen to his music.
Well, I still can remember when I bought that new ball cap. The brim had an elegant arc, and I bought it 'cause the logo matched the name on my new car, and the red hat stood out in the dark. From the East Coast out to Kansas, Colorado too, the road led on and I moved ceaselessly. Through dust and rain and driving snow, the scars that life can do, that hat felt like it was a part of me. Now that car is long gone, and the world has moved on, and that old hat in me was showing signs of wear. And a bitter wind has blown apart my country, so it seems, and I put that old red hat away with care. And I've got no peace of mind, and I miss the life I had before the world came crashing down upon our head. And I barely can remember a time that wasn't bad, when I used to wake up hopeful in my bed. And now I'm hoping for the world to make a better start, planning that I'll be there until then, when I can wake up in the morning with contentment in my heart, and maybe wear that red ball cap again.
Hey, Raleigh, welcome to the show.
Hey, Charlie, good to see you.
Good to see you. You're in Bucks County area, aren't you?
Yep,
And you're originally from the Cleveland area?
yeah, grew up in Euclid and then
And
went to Kent from there.
and you were in Kent in the late '60s, early '70s. Am I right
Yep,
about that?
yep,
Were you around during the shootings?
absolutely. Yeah, the night of May 1st, which was the beginning of that weekend
Mm-hmm.
when student protests started out in town, Alex Bevan and I were playing at a club on Main Street in Kent. And we were, the place didn't have a stage, so they had put together a couple tables and we stood on top of the tables. So we could see out the windows as students were rampaging up and down the streets, and
Wow.
everybody else couldn't. And we finally just said, I think Alex shouted something like, okay, the revolution's starting. We're leaving now. And we just got out of there in the middle of the night. And after it was all over, we had left our guitars there. I never realized it at the time how scared the townspeople were. They were afraid to let us back in to get our guitars.
Wow.
And I was around for the rest of the weekend. We narrowly escaped arrest, and I've written about it at length. Actually, there's a book that a woman named Susie Ehrenrich has put out, um, which is a collection of firsthand narratives about that weekend, and I'm in that. After Kent blew up, and a lot of us, we stuck around for a while, but then we quit school. Like school seemed pretty irrelevant compared to what had gone on with the
Mm-hmm.
National Guard and all that. So a group of us moved up to Cape Cod, and I lived there for a year and played a little bit of music, but not that much. And then I ended up moving back to Ohio and taught at Dick Lurie's for a year.
In Euclid, were you an active musician then at Euclid High
Yeah,
School?
I actually started playing when I was 15, so I was like a sophomore in high school. And there was a folk music club at Euclid High. So I joined that and I met Michael Harris there. I think you know Michael.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and so he and I have been distant friends for 60 years or 55 years. And he was the first person I ever heard play some semblance of Angie on the guitar, the Burt Jansch, Davy Graham instrumental.
Okay.
In the fingerstyle guitar world, it was like one of the holy grails that people had to learn to play to show they could really pick. And I saw it and I saw his hands and said, "Oh, that could be done. I could do that." I mean, I started out learning stuff off records, of course, and I got interested in Burt Jansch and John Renbourn, and then I met the Reverend Gary Davis when we had him at Kent.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to spend, which is why he's up on my wall. One of the reasons. That's him in the lower photo, and that's me and Andy Cohen in the upper photo. So meeting the Reverend and spending a couple days in which he just actually took time to sit with me and show me stuff was a life changer for me. And after that, I was definitely on board for fingerstyle guitar. And then decades and decades later, I got to do a whole DVD on Burt Jansch's guitar style for Stefan Grossman's Guitar Workshop.
I've watched quite a bit of your video work on YouTube, some of your instructional stuff. How
Uh-huh.
did you get into that?
It was funny. I one day I was sitting at home with nothing to do. This was like 1996, I think, and I thought, well, I have this video camera and this YouTube thing is starting up. And I said, I'll just put up a little video just for the fun of it. So I put up this video that taught a kind of jazz chord system and the video was called 240 chords in 6 minutes. And so it just gave this structure that I learned from a great jazz guitarist in Philly, a guy named Joe Federico. And it was up and it got a lot, it got like 100,000 hits and with no promotion. I mean, I just put it up there and all word of mouth. And eventually, Stefan Grossman, who I had known years before, got in touch with me and said, "Hey, would you want to do like a full video of that?" So, and then it took about 4 years of my schedule and his schedule, after I did that video, when I got done that day, he came up to me and said, "You really have your shit together. If there's any other things you want to do a video on, just tell me." In 98, I attended Steve Kaufman's flat picking camp because I wanted to learn how to flat pick. I attended as a student, even though I kind of had a reputation. People knew who I was because I had won the National Fingerpicking Championships in 1980.
Was that in Winfield?
Yeah. So I went down there, and at the end of the week, or I think it must have been the next year, I was talking to Steve and I said, "Look, I'm not going to pay to come to this again, but I'll make you a deal. Give me like a cut rate, and I'll teach a workshop or two on theory, you know." So he said, "Sure, great." And so the workshops were very popular, and then I ended up teaching there for like 12 years. During that time, I also started getting hired at other camps. And guitar camps, which are, I think if your listeners don't know this, these camps are not like children's camps. They're like fantasy camp for guitar players. They're the perfect venue for me because you teach during the day and then you do concerts in the evening. So I did that. I used to do about 3 of them a summer for many years, and now it's a little slower.
So you've been doing a something called the Curve Flattening Concert series, which is your
Yep.
virtual series. You want to tell me a little bit about that?
When the shutdown started in March, um, I wanted to be doing something musical, and so I decided I would do a concert, and it it went nicely, and I pretty quickly I just started doing them every couple days. I always for the last 10, 15 years, I did what I called Sunday morning music. And I used to just video one tune and put it up Sunday morning on Facebook. Nothing, I'd never done anything live on Facebook. So when the pandemic started, I started doing concerts on Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 3 in the afternoon. And, and they were live, and I'd always make them 3 songs and one instrumental with very few exceptions. So I try to keep them short. I used to make them about 20 minutes, but they've kind of morphed into more like 30 minutes now
Mhm.
partially because such a community has grown up around it that for a lot of people, a big part of the draw is the chat that goes along with it. And you end up, like I end up spending a certain amount of time looking at the chat and talking to people about what they're writing or just saying hi. I've been doing it all these months. I still do them. I have to change next week a little bit. Usually do them Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then Sunday morning. And Tuesdays, I'm going to be doing acupuncture now. So I'm moving that to Wednesday. Alex is moving his to Tuesday so that we cover all 7 days. But I've been doing them the whole year. And with no sign of stoppage. There's been a really interesting kind of synergistic community that grew up because I knew that my friend Guy Davis, who is on Facebook as the Kokomo Kid, was doing one, and my friend Cozy Sheridan, who's a wonderful songwriter, and then Alex and I obviously have been friends since 1968, 69. And so I started saying, well, if you like mine, be sure and stop by. And they're doing the same thing. So we've kind of crowd shared our crowd, that I see people on Guy's stream that I know I went to high school with, and or I know they're from Alex's stream, and I see people on my stream that came from Guy. And so it's been very nice, and it's a way of maintaining community during this time, in a time when people really need that, and people are really isolated. So that's the nature of it. And when I first did it, I didn't do anything to monetize it. I just kind of said, I'm just doing this, and I had a couple dear friends who said, "Are you crazy? You should at least put up a tip jar." So I started putting a PayPal link and a Venmo link, and it's good because it makes it uh, it makes it more justifiable from a career viewpoint if you're
Mhm.
making a little bit of money on it. I get a lot of gratefulness, and that and gratitude,
Mhm.
and that means a lot to me. both for my ego and for the knowledge that I'm making their days a little bit easier when they're alone. You know, my wife passed away in December, so from March till November we were sequestered here, but there were two of us, you know, so we had each other for company. And then since she passed away, I really understand about people who are alone now, and like me, and I just me, and fortunately, I have a very communicative dog, or else I'd be in big trouble. But you know, being alone at a time like this, I value. You know, I listen to my friends' streams whenever I get a chance. You know, so in fact, we're missing Alex right now. Well, he's
We
probably
are
just
missing Alex right now.
so I mean, I kind of hope they continue, you know. So I'm a really in a sense, I mean, I've had my little ups and downs recently, but in a sense, I've been very lucky. You know, I've always I taught acupuncture for 30 years. I'm really kind of a teacher guy. I teach guitar, I teach acupuncture, I teach Tai Chi, and I play gigs once in a while, you know, and do acupuncture. I've been really lucky to get to do a lot of things that I love and to, you know, keep body and soul together. I've never been accused of being rich, but you know, I have a roof over my head and dog biscuits. What more could you want? What more could you need?
You're a fool, he said, and nothing is real, and all he believed was what he could feel, and nothing is promised, and nothing is written in stone. You know they change the rules if they think you got some meat on the bone. I don't understand the spell that we are under. The absurdity is obvious to me. And considering the weather, I see much better on days for you and me. And death and madness, the fools, cowards, and crooks, the outgoing boss, I bet he burned all the books. Well, back to business as usual, but it ain't like it used to be. A little more predictable, a strange reality. I don't understand the spell that we are under. The absurdity, it's obvious to me. But considering the weather, I see much better on days for you and me. A little too close, too much for just one man. It could have gone a different way if he had a better plan. He ain't really gone. No, he's looking for another chance. Looking for an opportunity for his song and dance. I don't understand the spell that we are under, the absurdity, it's obvious to me. And considering the weather, I see much better on days for you and me. And considering the weather, I see much better on days for you and me. Thank you for watching Charlie's Open Mic this week, and thank you to Raleigh Brown for sitting down and telling me his story and sharing his music. As always, please hit that subscription link down below. Please ring the bell for notifications of upcoming episodes. I always appreciate it when you comment down below or click like on the show. It helps to move us up in the rankings a little bit. And you can find us at charliesopenmic.com, where you can find a Patreon link to help support the show. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.